Here's what's happening with me, okay?
Sure.
I finally started working on myself. At 28 years old, I decided
Sober
enough's
king.
enough, got to sober up
Oh, cool.
and really figure out me.
Yeah.
And it's been a constant
And he's great.
battle, little battles, you know, winning. And, you know, it's tough. It's been 2 years, but I still feel like I could do a lot more work. And I'm just trying to be the best version of myself before I kind of
put yourself out there.
let someone in.
I feel you.
Like
That's
I just
fair.
feel like I'm just not quite there yet. What?
I think you're fantastic.
I think most.
You're so hard on yourself.
If I'm being,
I
feel if I'm being honest, I think most men. I wish most men would do what you're doing. Like they would take time to understand themselves, what they want, how they want it, like what they see their future looking like. I think a lot of men, especially, I'm 27, so I'm going to be 28. Around our age too, like they are so convinced they have it all figured out already, which is like, I think 2-part like society and also like however you're raised. But a lot of times you feel like, oh, I know all the answers. I don't need to work on myself anymore.
Oh, he's great at that.
And
he's
you
opposite.
are. Yeah, you are actively doing that, which
he's
is
like, I know nothing. I'm lost.
I think that's
Yes.
But you're doing so good.
But I think that's
Thank
a great thing. Like figuring out what you want. I think a lot of men sometimes figure it out in relationships. Like they enter relationships and figure out, oh, I don't like that. And then, you know, there's people that get hurt along the way when you don't know who you are before you enter relationships. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy to know who you are at like 21. And
that
20.
too.
That's insanity.
That's insane.
Someone told me the other day, like, don't expect your kids to like fly away at 18. I was like, no, I hope they're 30 and lost and in my house. And
well, they're all
I'll help them
two
out.
different people.
yeah.
I want them to be here forever.
It's crazy.
What's your sign, Ryan?
Sagittarius.
Oh, fire
December
sign.
17th.
Do you know your moon and rising?
92.
We just got an app that's
wait,
like
shit.
who
That
I am as a
teaches
person.
you?
It's called like My Human Design.
My human design. Have you heard of this? You would love
I haven't heard of that
this.
one. I used a few of them.
How does
but
it?
I
Does it
haven't
say what the fucking moon is? I don't know. I was born at 6:08.
You plugged it in, so just
PM.
show her.
It
My
should be
chart?
on there.
He's a generator. Do you know those things?
I've used like CoStar. I've used like the pattern.
I would
I've
love
used
for you to
Oh
break
wait, maybe
him
it's on
down.
the
different
CoStar.
ones. Sages are, I know, fire signs. My
What does
sister's
that
a
mean?
Sag.
What does fire mean?
Their fire
You're like,
signs are
"Wow."
very like, my mom's a Sag. My mom's a Sag too.
What's up,
There,
Sag?
I'm handing
My
you
mom's a
my
double
CoStar
Sag.
app.
I
you're-
could see
Oh,
that.
you're okay. See, you're a Sagittarius, Sun, Libra, Moon, Cancer rising. Ooh.
Ooh, Cancer rising.
What does
Cancer's
this all
emotional,
mean?
right?
Well,
'Cause I-
Sagittarius people are very spontaneous. I think a lot of times. I think they're indecisive.
Yes,
They
very
move-
indecisive.
Yeah,
They
he's
move a
like
lot.
Got me.
one of his biggest new worries. He thought it was ADD. Was like finding someone and then being bored and being like, I'm done in
That's
a
a
week.
Sag thing.
That's a Sag
Yeah,
thing.
they move quickly. Like their attention span
Oh,
is
it's not
minute.
your fault. You're stars. Keep going.
Yeah. You're a Libra moon. The moon is the emotion. By the way, I'm not an expert. I just know.
No, but you know
Yeah.
so much more than us, and we've
Yeah.
been willing. We wanted this forever.
Moon is like your emotions, like how you manifest, like how you control them, how they manifest outside of you. My boyfriend's a Libra. Libras are very grounded. They're very like logical. They're very like black and white. Like
Okay.
it's this or it's this. There's no nuance. But you're a Cancer rising. Cancers are very emotional. Very, very, very emotional. Feel everything so deeply, so
Yes,
deeply.
you do, baby boy.
Well, that's
Stop
why you're
touching me.
well, that's probably why you don't want to settle yet. Because you're
Yeah.
Fear plays a role, I
Fear,
think.
fear,
I'm
fear,
afraid of
fear.
everything in
He's
life.
afraid
Yeah,
of
you're
everything.
afraid, but you're someone that sounds like who, if I can't see the ending, I don't want to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Which I need to switch that
When you
up for sure.
spend a lot of time planning, you miss out because it's hard, but like rolling the dice on someone, it's a lot easier to just to pull out or to never fully commit. Because if you commit and then something bad happens, you get hurt. So instead of doing that, you protect yourself instead. And you're like, I'm never going to fully commit to anybody because I'm not ready yet. Which you
Right.
probably are ready.
You like a lot of how you sound
got
to me is how strong and opinionated you were about like, I'm not doing therapy, fuck therapy, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you did it
Right.
once, you're like, oh, I get that's cool. I needed that.
That did work out.
You know,
Therapy was
that's
life changing for me.
life changing.
Like-
When did you start doing it?
Last year, actually, right when this
Oh.
started happening for me,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes, you need
I
it.
need to go work on myself.
Yeah.
Because I felt I never looked down on therapy. I always felt like I wasn't, I don't know, capable or willing or deserving of therapy. I felt like I could
Interesting.
have. I felt like, well, if I have like you know, if I'm taking up space in an area where I feel like other people need more help than I do, then that's selfish of me.
So you didn't think like you had tough enough problems that
like I felt like my problems are champagne problems and I shouldn't be, you know, taking up space where someone else could use it more than I could, which is unfair to me. Like I shouldn't put myself in that kind of position where I have to like choose like whether or not I'm worthy enough of therapy. Everybody could benefit from therapy.
Yeah, literally every
I'm
single
such a proponent of therapy.
I have it right after this. I'm so excited.
Mine's tomorrow. So
see, I literally had like the opposite feeling. I was just like, fuck that. Like, what do they know? Like, I know what's wrong with me, yada yada. Like,
my mom says that. She's like, I know what's wrong with me. I don't have to talk about it. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what you want to do.
Right? You would think. But then you go, and sometimes my therapist tells me stuff, and I'm like, whose side are you on? You're on my side.
That's good.
Girl,
they push you.
You work for me.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But she's just so like she gives me a new lens to see life through. Mm-hmm. You don't realize it till you like when you talk to someone that has no ties to you whatsoever.
The outside
and they can give you like the purest, most unattached, like unbiased opinion. That's worth its weight in gold to me.
Yeah.
100%.
It's changed my life. I love therapy.
Yeah.
Please
so
go
that's how I feel like you are with relationships. You're like afraid. You're like, if it's not the one. And I try to tell them like, there will be someone you meet one day that you'll be like, I want to spend every day with you. Like that was my Daryl. Yeah. And we were psychopaths. We were like 22. Yeah. It's way too early. But he was also a lost boy. Didn't know what he wanted to do and like he's like, I didn't emotionally have myself put together and I needed to work on myself and then I met you. Yeah. So he did that young. But when I met Daryl, we were like Velcro and I was like, I want to breathe your air and I want your skin on my skin and we should be one.
That was like
I told him
my boyfriend too.
Yeah, there'll be a person like that
that's
wants to take care of you. He
well,
looks
it
at
seems
me and Daryl
insane.
and he's like,
I felt the same way.
Insane.
I felt the same way because I dated a lot in college and stuff, but I never found anyone that I felt was worthy because I felt like I don't know. I just felt like they would do things that would piss me off. And then I was like, we're done. I don't want to talk to you ever again. And it would be like really small things. Like one guy like made up a word once and I was like, well, you're never going to see me again. It's so funny. Say your goodbyes now because we'll never talk again. And we didn't. One guy like refused to wear chapstick, which grossed me out. I was like, ugh, I can't. So I think like right before I started dating my boyfriend, I came to terms with the fact that like I may be alone and that's okay. And I told myself, if I'm alone forever, which is not possible because I'm a woman and men are easy. But if I chose to be alone forever, I would be okay. Like I told myself, I would be okay because I would rather be alone than be with someone who I felt wasn't deserving of my time or my love or effort. And literally 3 months later, I started dating my boyfriend, who's like my literal soulmate. So like he's like me and him are forever. So
I feel like I've just reached that acceptance. Like I could be alone because I'm not really alone. I'm surrounded by a loving family, dogs. Like there's a lot going on here.
Yeah. Being alone and being lonely are two different things. Yes. So being alone is never a bad thing.
And I feel like when I was drinking, I was definitely way more dramatic, and I would get, kind of stuck in these like spirals of like drinking alone and be like, I deserve to be alone. Like it was a different.
Like a self-sabotage?
It was a self-sabotage.
Okay.
And I think I was just
Have you had poor relationships in the past? Me just like therapizing you?
No, you're
what do you
good.
Mean? Wait, like romantically?
I do like the classic situationships.
Just run.
Pretty much. Well,
are you a runner?
I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like I also match up with runners sometimes.
So you both run.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny. I just gave this kind of relationship advice to someone. Because she's in a similar situation, but she had a poor experience in a past relationship, and so like her new situationship was complicated and hurtful. And I told her the same thing I'm going to tell you. Sometimes it's easier to be in relationships with people who are awful or people who are going to hurt you because you can predict the ending, like I said. So it's easier because you don't commit. Like you have one foot out the door, and then when they do something awful, you're like, well, I knew they were going to do something awful because they're awful. It's a lot harder to date someone that you actually care about and love. Because there's a risk. There's always a risk. Like you can't control anything that happens, which is why she's also like, stay in my sight at all times. I feel the same way because you can't control what happens outside of whether or not they cheat and stuff is up to them. But even external factors like play a role too in the fear of losing somebody, whether it's emotionally, literally, or what have you. So I feel like it's a lot easier to date people that you have nothing in common with, that make you feel bad about yourself, that are a lot very mismatched with you. because you're like, well, they're awful, so they're awful, they're being awful. So it's a lot easier.